I'm going to facilitate this particular session. We brought to you a team of speakers, and we're going to start out by talking about annual funds first. Then we're going to go to the endowment fund and polio, and then we're going to talk about global or district grants, or now what's called community service grants, and then finish up with global grants. I've passed a sheet of paper out to everybody, a small piece of paper. When you came here tonight, each of you had some preconceived idea, what question do I want to get answered tonight? Would you write that down on a piece of paper and pass it to the end, and I'll pick them up. If they're answered during the time when there's a presenter, we'll just pass over it. If it's not, we'll answer that for you. The first in our group of speakers tonight is Corliss Clausen, Sheraton, Iowa, and he'll be talking about annual funds. Then Don Goring of Ames, and he'll be talking about the other two. Then Doug Flournoy, Fairfield, he'll be talking about district community service grants, and then finally wrapped up with Brock Earnhardt. First up is Corliss Clausen. I can't get it going, I don't know.
Can everybody hear me? Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know you're all hard-working people and busy lives, but we hope Rotary is that important to you like it is to us. And we want to thank all of you that have contributed the money to the foundation. And I guess I would assume all of you are contributors, so we'll go from there. My presentation is going to be a little bit more on what we have done with our money, and then the next few gentlemen will talk us about what the changes are and how Rotary's changing. So this is our mission: world understanding, goodwill, and peace. Very simple, but very to the point. And we have three types of grants. We have district grants, global grants, and package grants. And we have these 6 areas of emphasis, areas of focus.
Sure. Okay, sure.
Cal went through this, but basically you give money 1 year, it's invested for 3 years, and then it's and then in the 4th year it's given back and we use it. So the money we are collecting now this year will be invested for 3 years, and then in 2017-18 we will get half of it back as our DDF to do the projects that we want to do in our district. So 50% of it goes into the World Fund over there, and 50% comes back as DDF, and Cal went through that. There's a little bit of an overview of international matching grants that took place last year, what we did with the money that we received last year, 2012-13. You might say, well, there's a little difference in figures because I think Cal used 17. No, that was district grants, I'm sorry. There's 12 matching grants, 15 clubs participated in it. Our clubs contributed $65,000, which was 15% of what the total grant was total grant. We used $123,000 of DDF, and then the Rotary Foundation gave us back $173,000. As you can see, that does not add up. But when you do a matching grant, let's say in India, the club in India has to contribute some of the money, and then their district has to usually gives them DDF, so there's money from that angle. And then maybe there's other areas that people who are interested in giving money to this grant give. So the total of all that grant was $440,000 we did last year, and the number of people affected, 294,000 people. This is just a list of the district simplified grants that went out last year. As part of that money, came back to us. And you can see variations there. I won't go through that. But our district gave out like $42,000 to these clubs. And of course, then the clubs had to match that, like Cal mentioned earlier. In 2009 and 2010, which is the year we're spending money now, this year, we collected $424,000 in our district for the annual fund, not just strictly the annual fund. We used $123,000 of it for matching grants. We used $81,000 of it for ambassadorial scholars. 5,000 for that's group study exchange. And then we had 42,000 in district simplified grant. And then, of course, 173,000 went to the World Fund, came from the World Fund. So there we come up with $424,000. Now things have changed now. There will no longer be there will no longer be group study exchange. There'll probably be vocational training teams. So that is one of the changes. And where the money comes from, that changes too. Every Rotarian every year. That's what we want. What that means is we want every Rotarian to contribute to the foundation every year in some amount. But here's the figures what we did last year. Our goal is we like to have an average of $100 per member. 67% of our Rotarians, 2,680, contributed to the foundation in our district. 501 or 13% gave between $1 and $99. That's not very many, is it? 2,000 gave over $100, and we had 77 that gave over 1,000. So my theory is, if you once can get him to give to the foundation, they keep giving. So, but our goal this year is we need to get this figure of 33% down to a smaller number. And this is quite similar to what the figures were from the year before. Variations a little bit here and there, but so that's how we spent. That's how the money came in last year. This is probably what our talk should all be about, is membership. We still have about the same amount of money given per member, but our membership is what's hurting us. Look at there, we lost 72. Next year we lost 71 members, 131, 37, 5, and we lost 81 last year. So if you take 81 times, say, those 81 people gave $100, that would be $8,100. That we would have more money to do the projects that we believe in doing in our district. So we need to work on our membership. Now I imagine most all of you are in what I'd call a leadership role in the district. And these are reports you can get to use to study and give to your club members to let you know how you are doing in your club. This is called the Club Recognition Summary. That is a very helpful one. It does a lot of things. Look at here. It shows how many recognition points. Let's say Paul Harris here. He has recognition points, $2,300. He's a Paul Harris Fellow, level 1. He became a Paul Harris Fellow first time in December of 2008. He has 1,300 recognition points available that he could give to other people to maybe stimulate them to become givers to the foundation. And you get that last column there tells you where the money went to. That's annual programs fund, share, or polio. That's the two main areas where the money goes. Okay, as you can see here now, I just brought up another slide which I already mentioned with the recognition points. Okay, and then the last one is where the money went. Okay, now this is another report you can get if you're what you call, basically the people that can get this are the president of the club, the secretary, and the foundation chair.
That report is in the club packet that they received.
Okay, so it's eligibility reports. It tells you your annual giving so far this year, how much of your goal you have reached. Like the gentleman here has got 98%, and these two have got 0.
Cordes, I'm wrong. That's not the one that I put in the packet.
Okay.
This is club. This is club.
This is for a club, though. Yeah. Okay, and then it'll average it out how much your club's contribution is per member, and it'll show you the number of members that are in your club. And then this will give you a kind of a total for your club so far this Rotary year. How much you gave this month, how much your total is so far this year. That's to the annual fund. And then other funds might be polio, it could be a matching grant. And then you have the endowment fund, which Don Bourne will talk about later. So to maybe just emphasize what Cal had said earlier, this is what I pulled out, what people think about our foundation. It says the Rotary Foundation has earned a grade of A+ from the American Institute of Philanthropy, a top rating of 4 stars from the Charity Navigator, 4 stars at the top, and a full accreditation from the Wise Giving Alliance of the Better Business Bureau in fiscal 2012. It said that directly 90% of your spending, now Cal said 100%, it's kind of how you do a little bit of the figuring, but this is what they came up with. 90% of its spending in programs far exceeded the benchmark of 65%. A lot of the organizations can't believe that we can, of every dollar that we is contributed to our foundation, that we can get 90 cents of good out of it, but we do. Most of them think if they can get 65, they're doing good. So that shows how people that are non-Rotarians and people who are in the know in foundations think about our foundation. So from that, I'll just turn it over to our next speaker. And give it here to Past District Governor. I guess you don't need that. Don Goring. This is Don Goring.
I guess I'm the guy with my hand out, asking for money. Bill, why don't we, I think I've counted these out by row, top rows here. We're going to talk about lots of different things. I think you're one row off.
I'm a roll off.
Yeah. Here, we
Sorry
got
about
more.
that.
We got more. Yeah.
Vice Manville.
Maybe one more here.
You've heard a lot about annual fund, the endowment fund. What I've tried to put together here for you is a real, kind of a quick synopsis of the recognitions that are available and how we get them, how Rotarians can achieve or be recognized for whatever. The top one, Paul Harris Society. Every club should have a letter that's represented. If you're not, it's probably up here. And if you have a Paul Harris Society member or somebody that the foundation has said is Paul Harris Society eligible, meaning that they have given $1,000 but the district hasn't recognized them. Anyway, the Paul Harris Society, I can adjust this thing, right? Cal?
I don't know.
How do I get to me?